So,
All right.
yeah, he plays in the dunk league competition against us, and I like to say he's a bit of hit and miss. When he's on, he's on, and when he's off, he's off. You probably agree with that. So, just going on to my main account now. So I'll just go through these. We're going to be live streaming tonight with Coby Freeman. So coming from Vegas all the way across to Western Australia to Perth, my guest tonight, or my friend. I won't say my guest because
Yeah.
this is streaming with friends. It's my new live stream that I want to do weekly. So I'm joined by Coby Freeman, who is an athlete who I used to work with over here at the Caboolture Suns. That's how we had the unfortunate.
That's where it all started.
Yeah, we met each other. So that is where it all started, mate. How are things out over there in WA at the moment for you?
Things are going really good. Obviously, everyone's aware of what's going on with the health crisis. I'm a personal trainer. I manage a gym. So for all that to get shut down, I guess it's a little bit stressful, but I'm doing a lot behind the scenes with online work. And you jumping in and asking me to do this was kind of perfect timing for me right now.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Well, yeah, we're all feeling it. I'm in the same space, a sporting space as you, and it has been pretty tough and everything. I like that you've set the area up, and look at the size of that weigh out at the back there, mate. What's going on there?
Yeah. That's that big protein there. It's from Elite Sup's always looking after me. They are.
Are they? That's one of your sponsors. I see you. So you're working at Jetts. That's pretty cool. Yeah, you're looking a little bit camoed there with the Jungle Academy shirt with the background.
I couldn't find my white one. I thought the white one would look a little bit better, but yeah, I'll roll with the black today.
Yeah, that's cool. So just so people know that we're actually live streaming on multiple platforms, including YouTube, across all my Facebook socials, and I just sorry, I will get distracted a little bit while I set some of this stuff up because I'm just having a look at where the live streams come up on YouTube. I don't think it has. Oh yeah, there it is. So we'll take during the conversation about we've got a PT here, which is Coby Freeman, obviously on basketball and a whole heap of other things. We just have an idle chit chat. That's the idea. We talk about everything and anything we want to, and we'll go from there. So, so what are some of the things that you're seeing over there? You've got a lot of PTs that you're connected with. So the announcement came the other day that PTs weren't going to be able to work with too many people, but you are still able to work, but all your gyms have closed. So how's that affecting you guys mentally?
I think the biggest thing for us right now is with the little network we have of personal trainers, a lot of people are getting in contact, and just as simple as asking how we're going, it has been huge. I think everyone's in the same boat. So everyone's trying to help each other out, and we're allowed to train up to 10 in a park, but it's still not encouraged. So I guess it's some personal trainers obviously needing to do that. It's their livelihood. They can't just cut ties completely. But then they're getting a little bit of bad rep on social media for, not staying indoors and doing the online approach. But I guess some people aren't as blessed as we are with the, I guess, experience with technology. So I know of a lot of PTs who are still out there in parks. And look, while the government's allowing it, you've got to stay making that money and keeping that living. But if you don't have to do that, people really should be trying to stay away from it. People should be trying to stay indoors and follow those guidelines.
Yeah, so one of the things that factor that I've noticed is that it is a bit of concern actually is a lot of kids and stuff are out, or they've basically said next week's a pupil-free day for those that can stay home. They'd recommend that they do, unless they absolutely need to be at school. They'll have a skeleton staff there at the schools. But what the thing is one of the things that it helps our immune system is actually vitamin D. So I've been banging on about it lately, is making sure that people, this is going to pause a little bit, mate. I'm just going to record this on Skype. So you'll disappear and you'll come back. Right. So
there
you see
go.
that's we're recording. I'll just go full screen on it as well. So not seeing anything else other than your face. Josh Praska's joined our live stream. G'day, Josh. I hope you're having a good night there, mate. And hope you're staying safe and healthy. So yeah, so the scenario there, that's not very good. And for the PTs that are out there, like a lot of us, we're doing it tough. And like you say, what are you up to? Allowed up to 9, is it? 9 or 10?
Yeah,
9. Yeah,
10,
in an outdoor space, as long as you're practicing the social distancing. So that's keeping obviously that within the 2 meters or 4 square meters that they've been pushing us to do. So that won't prevent people from actually going and working out. And it's important that they do. But vitamin D, which comes main sources from the sun, helps with upper respiratory or helps reduce upper respiratory infection, and also prevents or can help prevent colds and sinus and things like that. A lot of people aren't aware that because in the Western world we're so deficient in vitamin D that they believe is why colds are seasonal, is because during the winter and cooler months we're inside more, so we actually become vitamin D deficient. So all our respiratory system and everything like that isn't, and our immune system isn't functioning fully. So we're more prevalent to get flus and things. So it's important, if you do have the opportunity or do have access to a PT, try and get your kids and or yourself, if you're not walking or doing anything physical, it would pay to be doing something and getting out in the sun at least for 20 minutes a day. Yeah.
100%, and that's really good advice. We talk about vitamin D, obviously coming from the sun, and it's really important. It even comes down to people working night shifts. They don't realize there's a lot of underlying issues, and it can come from so many areas. But I think people feel like if they get 8 hours of sleep, they get 8 hours of sleep. But if you get 8 hours of sleep during the day, that's 8 hours of vitamin D you're missing out on. That's 8 hours of potential sunlight. And when you work those night shifts, you lack that as well. So it is that they're the people that get affected too. It kind of shows that trend with how important vitamin D is. So yeah, I'm glad you spoke about that, because I think that's one of the vitamins that people tend to forget and kind of just assume they're going to get a lot of because they're out in the sun for 10, 15 minutes. For sure.
Yeah. So what other things do you think this is going to impact? So we're trying to protect people's health. But as a PT, you want people to be fit and healthy. But already I've heard from some of my athletes, I've touched base, reached out to them today because I feel staying connected with them is extremely important, given we're not interacting. So I've encouraged them to use our private groups to create some banter back and forth. I seem to be the only one doing that at the moment, but
nothing changed from the Cabo days, eh?
No. So yeah. So I think that's important, and I think you with your PT groups, from what you've told me, and hopefully some of those guys are on tonight and having a bit of a watch. So yeah, those guys, I hope that they're supporting each other in these tough times. So we can see 11 people currently joining us on the People with a Passion page. So that's good. So anyone who's watching, if you want to throw in a question, I've got a PT on. Used to play for the Caboolture Suns for me here in Brisbane when I was coaching in the SPL, and he was one of the crowd favourites actually. When I heard, one of my mates actually said, "Oh, did you hear about Coby earlier in the year?" And my first thoughts were you. I was thinking, "Oh, what happened to Coby?" So
that's an honour that I come up first.
Yeah, so I was thinking, what's happened to Coby? Because I just wasn't thinking. So I got a message, and obviously your name's spelt slightly different, but but I'm thinking that because he was involved in the women's program at the time. So I sort of like, oh, what's going on with Coby? And then I didn't realise Coby. So
yeah, the Coby.
Yeah, not the Caboolture Coby, which is
Now, real quick, Craig, I've got my watch party going on, so I just wanted to mention there's actually quite a few names that popped up. It's really awesome. So everyone who's watching, everyone I see on at the moment is pretty much Perth and a couple of the old Cabo fans. But firstly, Jared's kind of said Jetts Midlands represent. He's one of our PTs, and I know he's at work right now. So thank you for jumping on, and Wolf and Curtis giving us some waves. So Curtis is one of our Spartans, which is a non-for-profit club that I was running and have only recently, as of like a week ago, put a halt on. And Wolf's one of my closest mates who's a Jetts member. So hello to everyone who's jumping on, because it's just going bit by bit. I reckon I've counted probably 30 people.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Exciting. So, yeah.
It's good that they've tuned in and that you got a bit of promotion across all your socials. And you're as much of a social media whore as me, so I thought this was good. Thought it was a good opportunity for us to have a chat, because we haven't chatted. We've messaged a few times, and we have chatted since 2016, mate, was when you played at the Suns. So that's over 3 years ago. But we connect almost once or twice a year via Skype, you being over there in WA. Sure. But let's talk about that journey a little bit, man. That starting that club from scratch, going back over there and literally building up Spartans. So what was the motivation and the process for that?
So I have a bit of background with AFL football. And one thing I noticed was in whatever grade, whatever league you played in, you had training, you had a real sense of community. And when I played basketball, whether it was men's or juniors, there wasn't really that much of that. There was definitely no training for seniors. And there was, if you played for some clubs, not all, but a lot of clubs I played for back then, it wasn't that same culture. So putting a club in that could really support the kids from a really young age up until men's and women's was really important. So, starting off with 4 teams, which was, a men's team and a couple of juniors, and growing up to 21 teams was where that ended up heading. And that was an amazing journey. Honestly, I love every second of it. I started as a student and a casual worker running it. And you know what, as you get older, you've got priorities. I've got the Jungle Academy. I've got Jetts. I'm trying to graduate uni this semester. So sadly, I did have to put it on a hold. But like I've explained to everyone, it is something I want to bring back again. Just right now, I've got other focuses. And the Spartans family is still there. I went to a party on Saturday night, and I reckon probably 15 of the kids I've coached were there. And it was like nothing's changed, And that's kind of amazing that family's still there.
Yeah, so that party sounded pretty good, except now 15 people got COVID. But just saying,
that was good. A bit of a family event.
Yep, naughty. Old Dom Scott Morrison on you. So
you tell Josh Rath and his family that I couldn't come. You deal with that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So no, that's one of the things that people are struggling with right now, is that some of the things that we've been able to do, we're not able to do. And there's some pretty important events, like a couple of, or 3 of my athletes in the space of 1 week all had their 21st birthdays. Oh, and wow. They did have celebrations and things. I don't know if the twins did, but certainly one of the athletes did. And I was hoping to do something at my place. I said, look, we'll get the boys together. We'll just have a barbecue, the players and stuff. And then it becomes... all of a sudden, all the group sizes are dropping to the point that now it's almost, short of dying. It's going to be a party of 1 for, and unless you're not there. So I'm all right. I'm not married and don't have kids, so I live in solitude anyway. So this is just norm for me. So it's all good.
Easy doing the isolation thing, eh?
yeah. Isolation's easy for me, and I can just chat to people on Skype, mate. So.
That's it. I'll be here. I'll be locked up as well. We'll have to catch up more than just twice a year.
Yeah. So and that's the thing, is it's allowing people to reinvent themselves. I think that all I've been focused on since all my coaching wound up was what can I be doing to take advantage of being stuck for potentially 6 months without doing the coaching in schools and my private academy and stuff. I believe I'll bounce back anyway, given. That I've built a brand over 3 years, as have you with the Jungle Academy. It doesn't stop me doing individuals neither. I can do individual coaching. So that's something that I've already promoted as of the 31st. That would be outdoors, and I'll be keeping social distance. I don't need to be engaging or connecting or contacting with anyone I'm coaching physically. So I don't see that as being a problem. And there are people saying don't go outside and don't go... go out in pairs or family, but don't socialise in large groups, so don't go playing basketball or doing activities together. That's fully understandable, but at the same time, your health needs to be maintained. So that's where you got to be doing some physical activity. Even if it is at home, you got to be doing something. So,
for sure.
So what's your studies again? You're studying in sports movements and things, aren't you still?
Yeah. So exercise and sports science with a major in nutrition. So that's my degree. I'll graduate this year if everything goes well. If COVID-19 doesn't completely shut down unis, I'll be fully graduated, ready to go. So a lot of that is it's movement-based study, learning how the body works, how to create the optimum exercises for humans. PT is a 3-month course at best. And you can learn a lot. There's a lot of PTs who probably haven't even done that, and they're great and they're doing a really good job. But for me, I only did it just to learn more and grow the Jungle Academy as much as it can. So it's not something I actually needed to further my career, but it's just that knowledge. That's all I wanted to do, is go there and learn and absorb as much as I can.
No worries, mate. I'm going to step up. I'm just going to turn the light off behind me because your colour doesn't look right. So I just want to see if I can get a little bit better. But I'll be back. I've got 17 viewers. Just go through your list there. See if anyone's got any questions. Go through your watch party.
100%.
I'll be back.
100%. So Josh Cox, he wants a shout out, and Thanks, Coxie, for just signing on. He's always jumping on board socials. You'll see him comment on anything I do, which is absolutely amazing. Mum doesn't want me to forget her, so hey, Mum, thank you for supporting your son as always. And Jay Pickering, another Caboolture family member, says, hey, fellas. Hey, Jay, someone I definitely need to catch up with. Hope all is going well over there. I've got a lot of waves and stuff like that, but no questions. So if you guys who are following, and it looks like we've got a pretty decent number on here, if you guys have any questions, bars related, fitness related, anything related, Craig and I can talk smack about almost any topic. So hit us with anything you got.
So I don't know that made any real difference there, that lighting, but at the end of the day, I just dropped one light off you there, Cobes, on the corner of the TV. But it's the colour's sort of blown out on this end. But that said, I don't know how the finished product will be. But as long as I can hear you, and I think everyone can, got a couple of people up on YouTube here. Get a haircut, nice. So
does it have their name there, or is it?
Chris 4.5K. Just like every other guy doing a sports science degree. So I don't know if that's one of your mates or a hater, but I get haters all the time.
Hey,
so
either way, that's all good. We welcome any comment here.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I actually interviewed I told you today, actually, before we connected, a professional eater. So he's I didn't even know that was a thing. So he's at an interview coming up in a couple of weeks. We touched on the haters and that. He's got 1 million subscribers. And he said that he doesn't understand haters, but people will find fault with anything. So he said some of the stuff he gets, like that he's promoting obesity, yet he's a dietitian and nutrition. He just happens to make money eating and traveling the world. Yeah. But he's done 829 food challenges that he's won. He did a number last year and he only lost 12, where he didn't fulfill them. But they get paid to do it and promote as well. So. There's only about 10 of them on the planet. I don't know how they do it, but yeah.
That's insane. What a job. What a job to have.
Yeah, and he started off like you. He won the Spartacus, Spartans is your name in the club, Spartacus fitness thing. So in the video, people get to see that. He was super fit. He's still fit. He still trains for food challenges, which I was intrigued. I never even knew it was a thing until his promotion team connected with people with a passion. So those who are your fans, I host a podcast and a YouTube channel. I've got 2 YouTube channels, but one's called People with a Passion, where I interview people. So I've interviewed, like Kev Eastman was the assistant coach of the NBA, LA Clippers and the Celtics with Doc Rivers in their championship year, and Alan Stein Jr. I've just interviewed Brian Kane, who will come up on Sunday. So he actually is the mindset and mental toughness coach who works with a number of athletes, and he worked with Georges St. Pierre through his 5 belts. He actually shows me in the interview he's got one of the belts. He gave it to him. So he was his mental resilience coach. So he's coming up on Sunday. So if people want to tune into People with a Passion on YouTube, then I encourage you to tune in and subscribe, because I interview a lot of people, and or you can get me across 15 different podcast platforms. So if you're interested in having a listen to People with a Passion, that's my core thing that I'm doing right now. This is the very first live stream. So you're joining Coby Freeman, who's in Western Australia, and myself, Craig Rowe, who's here in Brisbane, Australia. So we're all the way across the
different ends.
Yeah, different ends of Australia. So it's amazing we can actually do this, mate.
That's it. No, technology is amazing. Hey, it's so cool watching you progress, because obviously when we met through the SPL program at Caboolture. You were the coach. Selected me so luckily onto that team, which had its ups and downs. It had a lot of drama, but had a lot of good memories. That I was actually going through photos today, and just to think about the mates I've made, lifelong friends, has been incredible. But back then you were doing Oz Swoosh, which you're still doing now, and then to see People with a Passion kind of start popping up and developing, starting from what looked obviously like a really good concept to now just videos being pumped out and podcasts and really good content for the people who are watching this, especially in the watch party. Make sure you go have a look, because there's a lot of really good content on there, not only to learn, but maybe a bit of motivation. I was going through the playlist actually a couple of days ago and noticed that it kind of attacks different genres with the people you're talking to, You got sport people, you got that motivation, you've got that entrepreneur side of things, which is obviously a whole new level of motivation in that. So definitely go have a look at it. It's something I think you guys will enjoy.
I'm trying. It's one of those things. A lot of people go niche. I've gone broad, but the reason I've gone broad is because my niche is passion, and one of the things that fascinates me the most. I mean, it's even why I connect with you at such a level is because, like I said, you're a bit of I say a social media whore, but that's the world today. That you're building a brand in the same way as I am. You've got the Jungle Academy. I know we've connected behind the scenes. That you've asked for information and. I've mentored you a little bit. I wouldn't say much, but
100%.
I've given you advice. One of the things that I gave you advice on years ago when I was at the Suns, when I was coach of the Suns, is I know you took this on board. Is I said make where you are your MBA. So just because you're not in the MBA doesn't mean you don't pretend to be professional. That you don't treat what you do as a professional. So I know that's one thing that an approach you've had now. I've got a shout out here because Chris has a question, so he's on YouTube. So shout out to Chris 4.5K is the name. I'm guessing I don't know whether that's his amount of subscribers or whether that's his name, but he asked for a shout out. But he actually asks, "What do you weigh?"
What do I weigh?
Yeah.
I'm weighing in now at 75 kilos, and I'm just under 6'1". So in that healthy weight range, but getting closer towards the lower end. And I was actually 80 kilos probably 3-4 months ago. And at that weight, I was lifting about 10 kilos or 7.5 kilos lighter on my bench, squatting way less and deadlifting almost 20 kilos less. So it was a weird transition because I've been fixated. And all the boys watching now, they give me a bit of crap for it. But I'd weigh myself before a lot of basketball games.
Yeah.
Always having issues with weight, obviously being quite skinny frame. I'd weigh myself before every game. And if I wasn't 80, I would feel like I couldn't play in those bigger roles, even just social basketball. I felt like I wasn't at that weight. And then when I hit 80, I probably have some of my better games because I had that confidence going and I was locked in, ready to go. But now playing in a couple of, A-grade leagues up at Kalamunda and whatnot, weighing in at 75, I would never have thought I could, push bigger bodies around, but I'm way stronger than I've ever been before. So roundabout answer, 75 kilos, but 75 kilos and happy.
Yeah, that's good, mate. Because one of the things people don't realise that strength, it's a misconception that being big and bulky that means strength. But a lot of guys that are bodybuilders are just tearing muscle and building themselves up. They're bulking up, and they're not actually. It doesn't necessarily. Yes, they might be lifting heavier weights, but there are a number of different aspects of fitness that all need to be covered to be an athlete. And basketball is one of those ones that you don't want. If you're a legitimate big, possibly you want to be big, but if you're not a big person, you actually want to have a frame that gives you agility, flexibility, and
for sure,
and those features as well. And you need strength, power, and then the bulk side of it's not as important, but power is another aspect of fitness. So obviously you work with a number of athletes. You're working with basketballers, but who else have you sort of worked with now? You used to be. I wish I could put a photo up of this, but I can't. But you were one of the mascots of the Perth Wildcats, mate. So
Okay. Let's clarify that. It wasn't a mascot, but I was a morph man. So
Sorry,
if you see those guys at the Wildcats, you see it on TV as well. The little red suits running around with, very tight fitting. I was one of them. Just before I hit SBL, I was a morph man, which is good pocket money. It was good fun.
Yeah. So, but you also helped coaching the kids with those NBL players as well. So you got an inside look into, and we're helping also with some admin at the club at the Perth Wildcats there. So that's pretty cool for someone who loves the game.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Wildcats is a massive passion. Alongside basketball, I've always been a massive Wildcats fan. So when I got the gig at first, it was just a bit of pocket money, and I got all access to the arena. So why would I say no? As I got a bit older, I kind of weaved my way into the, like you said, through the admin team and whatnot. And they got me gigs with coaching. So I helped them with a lot of their clinics, which was an awesome experience. It's pretty much all the NBL talent working alongside Damo Martin, Bryce Cotton, all these guys with these little fans, and getting to teach them and educate them whilst learning off these talents. And the kids don't know any better. I was signing autographs with them. I was doing all that fun stuff. But yeah, through that then boosted my resume, and I started working with guys like Sean Redditch, James Ennis. They're just some of the names that I kind of helped alongside their clinics too, which, again, like I said, with my uni degree, just constant learning. I did it for the, some of that was even, what do you call it? Like, I wasn't getting paid. Volunteer hours as such, just so that I could, you know, learn and absorb.
And that's what passion for me is about. So why the people with the passion is because most people I find would do what they're doing even if there's no money involved. So that's the point of what, when you're passionate about something that people say, you know, following your passion is bad advice. Yeah, it's bad advice if you're actually wanting to make money from your passion, but if you're pursuing your passion because you're getting other things out of it, then it's worth doing. So, yeah, you were meant to do some work with an NBA athlete, I believe. What's going on with that?
Yeah, so I was really blessed to get in contact with Find My Coach, who's hosting Ray Allen, is hosting Ray Allen in Australia, but because of that damn COVID-19 that's kind of stuffing up all my plans this year, obviously it's not smart for Ray to travel. And lucky he didn't, because the week that he was supposed to be here was a ban on all indoor sports. So it is still watch this space. I'm still on board with the team. I still have full opportunity to work with Ray Allen. It's just a matter of when he gets over here after this all blows over. And yeah, that's huge. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to meet him. I've got one question lined up, but I'm saving it. I'm saving it for him. I don't want to release it just yet. You guys are gonna have to wait. And yeah, just again, of course, it's a resume booster, but just to work alongside him, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just go to your chat, mate, while I'm looking at my chat. I've got a couple of computers here, so I keep grabbing the wrong mouse, and I'm wondering why I'm not getting a response. But yes, have a look in your chat there, see if you've got anyone that wants to throw a question at you or anything like that.
I've got a couple of questions here. I'll smack through them. They're nice questions from some of the homies here in Perth. Mm-hmm. Jared Young. So Jared, like I said before, one of my PTs, our assistant club manager at Jetts, said, Coby, during this time, with no gyms being open, will you be bulking or trying to lean up? So to answer that, Jared, for a long time, I was trying to bulk. I wanted it more for the looks, not necessarily for what I do in my sport. But like I said, over the last 3-4 months, I've trimmed a lot of weight and gained a lot of strength. And I'm going to continue down that path because I do have my weight set up at home. So I can still do my deadlifts, still do my chest press with pretty heavy weights. None of that's going to change. So my program is only going to change slightly, a little bit more, I guess, cardio, a little bit more explosive movements at a body weight because I am lacking a couple pieces of equipment. But my program really won't change from that explosive power. That's my main goal. Jack has a really good question here. This is something that I'm passionate about. I love to talk to kids about. What would you say to the younger generation about how to choose a career path in life? So I know I've been really lucky. I've had a couple of options for careers. I was studying primary education for a little while. Didn't enjoy the study side of things and couldn't see myself teaching, which is why I took down the path of training young athletes. I get to work with the youth, but down a different aspect and something I'm more passionate about. But the best thing I ever did was it probably would have been a couple months where almost every night before bed, I laid back and thought about, what do I want to be when I grow up? What do I really want to do? And to be honest, I wish I could remember who told me, but I can't. Someone told me, put money aside. Don't even think about money. What would you do? Whether, it doesn't matter how much you get paid. The whole fact of the matter is, if I wanted to be a doctor, I know I've got the willpower to study. I might not be smart, but I've got the willpower to study and get there. But I wouldn't enjoy that life. So sitting back thinking, this is what I came up with, and best choice I ever made, because I love every second of it. So to the young generation out there, sit down, lie down. Don't expect it to happen in a night, but every night before bed, really think about what you would do. And it doesn't matter how hard it is. If it's being an astronaut, obviously that's something ridiculously hard to get into. But if you really want to do it, you'll get there no matter what. So just, think about it. Think about it really hard, and don't worry about how you're going to get there or what money you're going to make at the end. Just make a decision on what you really want to do and go all guns ho at it.
So I've got a message on YouTube here. It's a basketball one. I'll let you answer your version, but I'll give them a version.
Yep.
I've got Chris has replied to, and he's something about the shower background. So I don't know if he's a fan of yours, but he's got a bit of a sense of humour. But I've got one here. I'd say it's from someone you may know, not Sneds, I think it is, but it's Coby. Yep. What would you recommend some drills and workouts to do at home while we can't go to the courts, or gym? What would you recommend?
Look, Sneds, this isn't specifically targeting your dribbling skills. I won't call you out in front of everyone.
Do you know this guy, do you?
Yeah, he's one of my best mates. He's
nice.
And he's a good baller. He's actually just had another ankle injury, so he hasn't played much lately because of these injuries. But yeah, for Dylan and all the guys out there, the best thing you can do right now is work on your handles. You can't tell me, anyone watching this right now can say that they've got the same handles as your Kyrie Irvings and your Allen Iversons. You can't tell me that you're at that level. If you are, hit me up. You're watching this. We've obviously reached some really good talent. Work on your handles. Work. There's so much you could do. I'll be releasing things the next couple of weeks. I'm sure Craig has a lot on his YouTube channel as well. If not, watch this space maybe. But there's a lot of ball handling drills and go nuts at it. Spend an hour down those handles. When we come back, there'll be no stopping you attacking that basket.
So if people, some of your circle of friends in the basketball space don't know who I actually am, I'm Coby's former basketball coach over here in Queensland when he played in the SBL for the Caboolture Suns. And I run a private basketball academy. Now I do have stuff up on my ozswish.com website. There's a library of training. So you can go up there. It's all free. So ozswish.com/library. And you go there. There's a training program I just released called the Character Building Training Program, which is there's 25 words down the bottom, or 20 words, and each letter represents a drill that you can do to train. And you basically pick a word and then spell out that word, and you do whatever that activity is that relates to the letter that you chose until you've spelt the word. So that's gone up. So that one's trending on LinkedIn actually. That's had a lot of interest. Like on LinkedIn, it shows you who has looked at that. So the NBA, Sydney Kings, Illawarra Hawks, FIBA, they've seen that. It's trending at about 500 and something views at the moment. So that program seems quite popular. And some of the content is actually on my YouTube channel, which is OzSwish as well. So I've got People with a Passion, which is the interviews, talking to people about their passions, which does have some basketballers there. Jeremy Kendall, Brian Curl I've interviewed. JK is really good. Jeremy Kendall interview up on People with a Passion is a pretty good interview to actually watch. I got Mike McDaniel, who came out. He's American import. He did MMA and has the quickest knockout in the XFC here in Australia. So he was an interesting and one of the more popular interviews. Nelson Larkin's brother, he played for the 36ers. I interviewed him. He's a skater. His dad was in the NBL for 16 years, but Sammy Larkins, he's doing quite well. So bit of a basketball relationship there. Obviously, Alan Stein Jr., Kev Eastman, they're both worked with NBA people. So if you are a basketballer, plenty of content on the People with a Passion YouTube channel as well. But there's heaps of stuff out there going around. We are trying to give people things to do. I know with my players, I said, go and read your playbook. There's no excuse. Now's a good time to study your playbook. So, but what are you giving? What you've got some video stuff coming up, mate. Too. You're putting a video program together.
I do. Before we get to that, funny story about the playbook. So before coming to Craig at the Caboolture Suns SBL program, I'd never run a play in my life. I never played rep basketball. I've always thought of myself as a high level player, but never really took that next step. Just enjoyed playing until I decided to obviously move across Australia, isolate myself from all my friends and family, and really focus on that dream of playing basketball. So never read a playbook in my life, and I'm sure Craig can put his hand up and say that I struggled so hard. But I had a lot of trips across to Perth. I went over for Easter. I went over for my partner's birthday, and during all of those times, I literally read the playbook the whole time because I was on the back end of the bench, and more times than not, wasn't even on the bench. So for me to get minutes, I knew if I messed up that one little play, I probably wouldn't see much more court time. As much as the crowd was cheering it on,
Yeah.
Craig had to be the bad man sometimes.
You know what? That was one of the best experiences of that season, though. Like getting to the last 2 minutes of a game and having 300 to 400 people screaming "Coby, Coby, Coby," and you weren't even on the floor, mate.
Yeah, it honestly sounds stupid,
But
considering the fact that I barely was getting any minutes in the games. But I guess that was the culture we built there, and the friends and family I made out of a lot of individuals there.
It was a very good culture, and there was a couple of a lot of people don't know the justification for me pulling the pin on that, but the core thing of it, and a lot of people know it now because it's 3 or 4 years ago, but it was because certain individuals came up to me and said, "You're going to coach next year. You're going to coach the year after, and I'll be your assistant, and then I'm taking over." And I just finished at a club where I was there for 11 years and took a team to a grand final and lost in double overtime. And moved to another club, which was the Suns, and I wasn't about to spend time and energy. I spent about $4,900 on that season out of pocket. So I wasn't. I invested heavily. That's when I said make the NBA your own, in your own. Yeah. So we had the court announcer. We had. I mean, you know what the crowds were like. So they returned to what they were a couple of years after. Those crowds definitely halved, I would say. But it was a great experience. I enjoyed the season, even though I think we came 8th. So I enjoyed the season. The actual season was okay. There was we were facing adversity. We're a new team. I really literally had to build the team from scratch, and the goal was to build it over time. So 2 years, 3 years. I think the biggest mistake I made there was probably not telling my assistant of my decision to quit. He found out later. I think in hindsight that was the wrong thing to actually do. So I do apologize for that. I did at the time. I'd made the decision I was waiting for all the obligations to be over. I'd already made the decision about 2 weeks prior to the basketball camp. And I was working at the Blitz, the NBL Blitz, same as you, like all access pass, doing stuff for the NBL. And I just decided once my commitments were fully over there, I'd advise them that I wouldn't be returning. And then I started Oswish, and I was, took the heat from it, but I've had over 200 athletes go through that program now, and I'm working currently with about 40, and I'm in was in 5 schools. So I'm happy. I'm working with athletes and helping develop them, and that's all it is for me. Like the winning, I hate losing. I'll be honest. I haven't won.
I remember this phrase.
I haven't won in a long time now. It's actually frustrating. Because what my program is about is about other winning, and that's something that, and it's the same in PT. Like when you're trying to achieve goals, there are so many short wins along the way, and that's I'm looking at improvement as an academy. I look at improvement. Same with you with the Jungle Academy. For me, I know that the success may not happen for 4 or 5 years if you.
Yeah, for sure.
So, interestingly, we were 3rd on the ladder in our Premier League over here, which is a fully timed 3-ref, 24-second shot clock game. And we were sitting behind 2 other very experienced teams, but all my players are averaging in double figures. So that's
huge.
That is huge. I always look at the point spread. And that was unfortunate because we were playing one of the more bottom teams, and we were hoping to blow them out. So it would have given us a bit more of a percentage and maybe moved us up the ladder again, so we could secure our final spot. We're only halfway through the season, but that team has evolved over 3 seasons, and I've kept the group together for the first time. This team has been together. And it takes time to build something. It really does. I know with the Bullets, for example, the first year that they were in the NBL, they struggled to get players because a lot of guys were contracted, and people who don't understand how it all works are like, why have they got this guy and why have they got that guy? It's because they can only get what's available to them at the time. So even them, it's taken them 2 to 3 years, and they just missed out on a finals berth, So, which is devastating because they're playing really well at the end of the season this year. But what about Perth? Perth, mate, getting the championship in controversy. If you
very interesting.
It's they earned it, they won it. Everyone's agreeing with that. But some people are unhappy. So
well, that's it. I guess NBL made the best decision that best of a bad circumstance. But I know even like you could tell the Wildcats, we didn't want to win it that way.
No,
definitely didn't want to win it that way. But when this happens, I guess it's a decision they came down to, and we would have won it anyway. We were having a good run, but it definitely, look, they made the best decision they could, and I'm happy with it, very happy with it.
Have you been going to the games? Are you still
No.
involved at all? You haven't had a chance?
Nah, I've stepped back from it because of all my other commitments. I haven't had a chance to go this season. Again, it's been really busy with work and Jungle Academy, uni, all that jazz. But I do recall being late to one of our training sessions because we won the chip in 2016.
Yeah.
I remember watching it and saying, look, Craig, the game's gone a bit longer than I thought. I'm going to have to be late. And there was, a pretty understanding Craig on the other side, thank God.
Yeah, only because we probably A, because you weren't getting many minutes, and B, because we weren't going to make finals. So I thought
it was towards that end, wasn't it?
You were homesick, mate, just admit it. So you went back pretty quick after that season. I think I scared you off, mate.
No, that was really hard, actually. I just started dating Lil. Who obviously is still my partner now, and I was friend zoned for a year or so before that. So to finally have the chance to, start seeing her and have this relationship, and then I was like, yep, I've already made plans to move. Was really hard, and that just grew as I was over there making more friends. It was all of a sudden this split: do I stay, in Queensland, where I felt like I'd built quite a good little family over there of friends, and I saw myself being at Caboolture for a while. Or at least in the league, especially whether I followed you around or whatever it was. But I think I made the best decision for me, and that was, I'm a family man, and family came first, and it was too hard to have those phone calls all the time, and when there was celebrations, missing out. Kudos to the athletes that do that regularly. That was hard. That was really hard.
Yeah, so I spent a stint running the Darwin Basketball Association, and I know how hard it was the very first year. I surprised my mother when I was probably 27. Surprised my mother by flying back because I was actually was it for I went to it was April, it was for her birthday, and my brother and father and everyone knew, and she was missing me. I wasn't missing her.
Oh, that is cute. That is cute.
So we surprised her because I knocked on the door. And had her answer it. So did the thing that you see with the military people do. She just burst into tears, and I think my dad might have walked in with the ticket and my bag and just had me at the door, and I just stood at the door, and then he's from memory he's like, "What's this?" and handed it to her, and she didn't twig. She didn't know what it was. But I managed to fly back a few months after, and then I came back in August for the National Schools Championships. I coached their top. Or their full opens teams at nationals, but that was tough. Like when you're away from all your family and friends that you've grown up in an area, I get it. So 100%. Sure. Who else have you got on there? The numbers on live stream here are going up and down, but they're sitting around 14. So who else you got that might want to say hello or have a question?
I've got Lane saying hi. Hi, Lane. Lane's a very good friend of mine. Also been a client as well, and she's done really well in her fitness journey. I've got a question I'll come back to, but I got some shout outs here. Bailey Schrocker, and I can see Adam Poole and a few others jumping on. They're from Western Wolves, who beat the Jetts Midlands basketball team. Actually, we didn't even make it to the finals, but they beat us before the finals, and they won the C grade championship. So kudos to them. And shout out to my Jetts Midlands boys. We put a team in, Craig. You would have loved it, eh? It was 8 of us originally. With only 2 of us ever playing basketball before, or at least not since they were, tiny and, couldn't really remember. That developed into just adding a couple of extra players because all of a sudden you had guys like the Wolves, who probably should have been a B grade team, but dropped themselves into C. So we tried to stack our team a little bit, and it was honestly pure laughs the whole season. And to see some, fellas who never played basketball give it a shot and have a season where, like I said, it was literally, I've never laughed so hard in basketball games other than this team. That was a really fun experience. So shout out to the Jetts basketball team. I've got the question I was mentioning before. How do you maintain focus and motivation during this tough time? Or rough time? So Jared asking more questions. He's obviously not too busy at work, or he's just being really supportive of us. Maintaining focus and motivation. It is hard. It is hard right now. I respect that. I know my home setup is almost like a gym. I'm not really missing that much, so I'm really lucky. There's people out there who pretty much have a yoga mat, and that's it. I guess what people have to understand is you've got to really want it. You've got to think about what your goal is, and want enough to do the bare basics. It might not mean you'll lose that weight you want to lose, especially for isolated houses. We don't have treadmills. We don't have a lot of things to do, but we can certainly maintain, and we can at least prevent ourselves from going any backwards. I will be dropping some content, which I think I skipped that question over before.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night, I'll be launching some opportunities for people to get free bodyweight programs, and then an opportunity for me to create custom programs. So you'll be sent a form. The form is really basic. You get to include pictures and descriptions of all the equipment you have at home, whether it's really basic or extensive, and I'll write down a program specific for you. And whether it's super basic or super intense equipment, we can definitely keep people on board and build up their their bodies to suit their goals. So for me, it's find your goal, focus on it. If you can't get better at it, then focus on maintaining it. Maintaining it is more than enough right now. There's more than anyone expects anyone to do in a time like this. Yeah,
awesome. I have a question. Again, I should have worn my glasses, actually. I've got to bring this close to my face. Another one might be the same guy with a different name. Slender Flano. Following on from Chris's earlier question, with Prince Charles contracting coronavirus, do you see a place for the monarchy in society moving forward? I like it. I like it, mate.
Hey, that's a spicy question. I can't say I've got my head fully wrapped around that subject, but I think it's definitely interesting in the news now with the split. We've seen some of the royal family obviously split away. I think it's fascinating. I think it's crazy that we still have that in society. And I say I'm all for it. I think we should make myself and Craig the king and jester, and you guys can decide which one's which of Australia. I think we should have a monarchy here.
Yeah, sporting one actually. So, look, I don't know. I'll let you answer that one. We got another question.
Good question.
We got another question. These must be your friends because hey, you're getting spelt Kobe, by the way. That's pretty cool. So they might not be friends, but it says they're a big fan of yours, so they do know you. A lot of celebrities nowadays lose their roots and passion. How have you kept your head and stayed humble? That's a good question for you, mate.
I really appreciate that. I guess I'm not up there yet. I'm not where I want to be. So that probably helps. I think that happens when people get to a point where they're all lit. They're where they want to be, and that's where it comes from. So I guess because I believe I'm not there yet, and I probably never will believe I'm there yet. I've already told Lil, by the time I'm 30, I want to own a Lamborghini. When I get there, that probably won't be enough anyway. So, that probably answers the question quite well. But I've been raised really well by my family, my mum and dad. Craig, I don't think you ever had a chance to meet them, but you will in due time, I'm sure.
At your wedding.
They are big fans of yours. What's that?
At your wedding.
Hey, I'm holding you today. You better make that trip over.
Yeah, no, you're bringing the wedding here. Actually, do it soon because the expense will be.
You'll be one of the two guests. You and Mum. That's it. Sorry, Dad.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, been raised really well by my mum and dad. I've those core values come from somewhere, and if you know mum and dad at all, to any respect, you know that they are quite amazing humans. So I hold that to them for sure.
It's a really good question actually about humility and being humble, and a lot of it is actually realizing that in the scheme of things, and it's something that someone said to me years ago. A coach said, "No one's bigger than the game." Talking about basketball, but whatever you're doing beyond you, like leaving this planet, the game still goes on, and for most of us, we're a significant part of that. Will probably never be remembered for any input into the sport or whatever we're doing, to be quite honest. It's a rare breed of human that gets remembered over decades, and it's normally the worst of the worst or the best of the best that get remembered, sadly. And everyone else in between who contributed in some way is often forgotten. So that's a humbling thought, and you sort of hinted on it that, you're not where you'd like to be, and it may never be. That growth mindset and accepting that there's always room to improve and be better is important, because I'm a huge believer in process, and that is what makes people improve and get better, is by recognizing they're not there yet. So 100% on that. I don't have any other questions on YouTube, but to those that are watching on YouTube, You look really blue on the screen, by the way. It's got to be the fluoro lighting or something, because normally my guests don't look as blue, so you sort of look like a Martian. I'm just looking on the screen here.
I've noticed it on there. Hey, I wonder if I can change it, or if I put on a
Yeah, you got a lamp there, and just to see if we
plug
can
my lamp in and see what happens.
That's cool. So yeah, I mean, we've been going for actually 50 minutes, mate. So you're doing well. We've been fluctuating around 14 to 19, 20 people on the live stream. So if anyone, we don't have anyone on I've got no friends by the looks of things. They're all bailed on me. So if there's anyone watching on People with a Passion or on my private one, then which I can see there's a couple there, but I don't know that they're still there. But there's certainly people watching, because it gives me a list of 14 here. But they could be some of your people, because you're sharing from People with a Passion, yeah?
Maybe. I can't remember.
Yeah, can't remember. That's so cool. So on Ozwoosh, I have only a couple of people, but they're, again, I don't know if they're still there. But if there's anyone there who is listening on those platforms who wants to throw Coby or myself any questions, by all means. Coby's a PT, personal trainer. He's a basketball enthusiast. I probably forgot I picked the wrong. We have a bit of rivalry. Jay Pickering was in earlier, and I have a little bit of rivalry with him whenever Brisbane plays Perth. Did we get you guys? Right. Did we get you guys 3 times this season? Bullets. We did all right against Perth from memory.
Yeah, you guys a bit of a kryptonite this season, to be honest.
Yeah, I think.
I've tried to be like Brisbane Bullets my second team, because I don't really have one.
Yeah.
But I can't say I follow them enough to call them my second team. But yeah, I believe you guys were at kryptonite this season.
Yeah. So I'm just having a look at that lighting. So it hasn't sort of helped, by the way. It's no. If anything, it just brighten you up. So just turn that off. The lamp, it's just made it 10 times. Normally
didn't do anything.
No, normally it's pretty good, but I'm not, like I say, I'm not too worried about that. People can listen to you and they can see you, but it's probably I've been noticing it. You took a snapshot, mate. Nice.
Oh, I'm just pressing buttons. How to have I gone?
No, you're good, mate. You're good.
Okay. Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
So yeah, let's throw to your. Seeing as most people, I think you're sharing the stream through your watch party there, so you'll have most of the people, most of the audience there. So, is there anyone in the audience listening that wants to throw a question? We've spoken a lot about what people can be doing in their own time, but yeah, if there's anything or anyone that we'll probably only go for another 5 to 6 minutes. So if you've got something you want to ask, now'd be the time to throw in there, and we can talk about something else. So, but talk about the building of your club, Spartans, man, because one of the things that when you're building something from scratch, you have the opportunity to do that. And I observed from a distance how you've grown your club. You mentioned you watched how I've done People with Passion, things like that. But you have a really good vibe at your club, and was that a conscious decision to make sure that, if I can use the words, that good people are involved?
Yeah, for sure. I think, and this stems into Jetts Midlands as well as Spartans, two organisations that obviously I've worked in for different reasons. The biggest thing for me is culture. Culture is so important in whatever you do, whether it's the Jungle Academy, whether it's Jetts, whether it was Spartans. And to me, it didn't matter what we did. We became quite big on social media compared to like the older clubs. And that made us stand out. And in the end, they could do that as well. They could have copied that and grown the same way. But what no one can steal, and I believe there's a bit of a saying behind it, is you can't steal the culture. So that was exactly it. The committee was handpicked. I didn't put a message out. I picked certain people I knew were super passionate. I knew were good people, like you said.
Yeah.
And that's the same as at Jetts. Our business owner is an amazing lady, and her partner, who I deal with directly. That meeting with them, knowing them actually from working at Bunnings, made it easy to build a team in that direction as well, because it started with good people. Adding me onto the team, then allowing me to handpick again those people, and everyone that came through for the interviews, the question came up, what does culture mean to you? And if it didn't come up in that way, I've found roundabout ways to bring it up, because the culture we've built through Spartans, through Jetts, it's just, it creates a real supportive atmosphere. The thing I loved about Spartans, and I'll never forget about it, and it will always come up in conversations, was you would have the under 8s, under 10s, under 12s playing. You'd have some of the men's team down supporting them. You'd have the under 18s who play, 4 hours later. They're that early just to watch them. and support them. And then you see those young kids all day, you know, munging down some canteen chips to keep them going, and they'll be there for the under-18s watching. And that's culture. That's the support network that, you know, not just myself, the committee built. And yeah, that to me is so important. You say the word culture, Craig, and I'll get excited. That's the big word for me.
I interviewed Kevin Eastman, who worked, as I said, 13 years as the assistant coach to Doc Rivers on My People with a Passion recently. And he talks about culture and says, you know, take a bit of heat for this, but he says culture seems to be like a bit of a favorite word that people use, but he says what culture really is people and values, and those two things aligning. And he said when people say culture, it's like they just say it, but they don't really understand what it takes to build it. So you've just hit the two on the head there in your description of what you did with Spartans. So that's pretty cool. So what we might do is we might finish up on that note. We've got about 10, so it's the lowest we've been since we started. So they're probably we've had a few coming in and out. If there's anyone there who wants to follow of my audience that wants to follow Coby Freeman on social medias, he is on Instagram. I'll let you speak to what socials you're on, and also on Facebook with the Jungle Academy and Jetts Midlands. So I've probably said those, but go tell us some of your socials, mate, and where people can find you.
For sure. And if you have a couple minutes, Craig, if I could just answer a couple questions here.
Absolutely, mate. Hey, mate, this is the beauty. I'm not on live TV in the sense of I don't have a producer here. Tell me, mate, if they want to keep asking questions just to give you some airtime, I'm just going to have a drink and go for it, mate.
Lovely. So, first one, a couple here, just people shouting out, Luke and Jacob. Appreciate you guys giving a little shout out there. Luke mentioning that he misses giving me advice on court. A team I used to play for, actually just before I left to come see you guys over in Queensland to play SBL, was Team Spirit. And they grew a lot of my core skills, especially in a men's league, like a physical league. Sean, Katie ran that team. Everyone on that team, I appreciate and thank you, because that was my first. I think I started playing at 16 for them. And to have some older guys really support you and let you take those shots, I'll always appreciate. Brooke just said here as well, while I answer a few more, Craig, Coby, tell Craig to look at his Ausswoosh messages. There's questions, but he's not seeing us.
My bad. Because I'm across multiple tabs. So, Chris is there. So, one more question. Who wins in a fight out of you two? But, Craig, you're covered in cooking grease. Who is this guy? He's pretty funny. He's like, look, being covered in cooking grease against Coby. Coby, what do you reckon's going on there, mate?
Hasn't it?
I'm sure we did this. I reckon this is a scenario that you've told him about that happened here at Suns, mate. But
I got into the team.
I'm pretty sure I won because you couldn't hold on. We were in jiu-jitsu. So, MMA, mate. So you're trying to get me in a headlock, but because I got no hair, I just kept slipping out.
Like a damn newborn baby. I couldn't hold on to you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. So, that's a good question. To those that are on the YouTube channel, make sure before you slip off, if you could hit the subscribe button. I do have, like I said, particularly the PTs that are in here. Some of the people I interview on People with a Passion are actually motivational speakers. So Tom Haupt is an international motivational speaker. Alan Stein, strength and conditioning coach, wrote the book Raise Your Game. International and very sought after speaker, one of the top 6 in his field at the moment in the US. He worked with the likes of Kevin Durant, Kobe Bryant, Steph Curry, and a lot of juniors going through to the NBA. I think there's 15 or 16 he's worked with, and he still connects and works with those from time to time. So if you're a PT, he's all about leadership, culture, mental toughness, those sorts of things. Brian Kane's coming up on Sunday. So he actually worked with Georges St. Pierre as his mental coach or sports psychologist. He has a program actually for coaches. He has a program called the Mental Performance Mastery certification, where you can become endorsed by him and run his trainings. And he's worked with the Olympic team over there. He's worked with, he sent me a video that was private, but of one of his college players that's doing quite well, that's looking like they're going to be drafted in the NBA when the NBA returns, one of the top drafts. So he's written multiple books on Amazon, so that's Brian Kane. So, you know, if you're in that PT space and you want to help people with their mental toughness and their resilience, then that video would be pretty good for them to go and look at. So make sure you check out the People with a Passion channel and give us a sub and hit the notification bell so you know when I'm going live with people like Coby, and we will do this again sometime down the track, Cobes.
For sure.
Then make sure you please subscribe. Check out my socials. I'll go back to yours in a minute, Coby. So Coby's sharing this from People with a Passion. So again, a lot of snippets and links to the podcast and also to the channel go up on that People with a Passion. Make sure you comment, like on there, and share if you feel it's worth sharing to your friends. I'm on Instagram and all those. You just look for People with a Passion and or Ozswish. If you like basketball, then ozswish.com is my website. Has a free library. There's a video channel that has over 600 subscribers. I don't do much on that, but it continues to get subscribers. But it's got video content if you're looking to do some training. But socials for you, Cobes?
Look, Craig, I know you're trying to get rid of me, but I've got Brooke here again saying you're ignoring her. And her question is, how can I keep my three boys active and at home? They're all fit and healthy, but I want to mix it up. I guess we can both answer this. One of my answers will take over from Craig, and I assume she's a basketball mum. So head over to Ozswish. You were saying is .com/library.
/library, yeah. So there's downloadable training programs there. There's one perfect for kids who are on break right now, and you can go up to the Ozswish channel and view that. But what sort of things would you have them do? You said ball handling earlier. That would be a big one.
Yep. In terms of just staying active, Jared, who's popped up a few times with questions, and myself have launched a push-up challenge, which is already live. If you see the Jungle Academy on Instagram and Facebook, you won't have to go far, and it'll be there with a link. Follow the link, and it's free. It's a push-up challenge. What it is there's 4 separate programs, which you said 11 and 13. It'll work perfectly for them. It's bodyweight. It's safe. It links you to some videos on how to do it. And there's 4 different options, so they can kind of decide where they sit. Level 4 might be a bit hard for them. Level 1 might be too easy, so then they make some decisions. And with that, they get our full support. So they can DM us on Instagram and whatnot, all hours of the day and night, and we can reply whenever we get to it and support them through that. So there's that option. And then, stick to bodyweight. Just try and, like I said, I'm releasing some free programs soon. One is revolved around sport in particular, focusing on a bit of basketball, AFL, rugby, netball. And that, again, because it's all body weight, it's quite safe for kids to do as well. So keep an eye out for that tomorrow night, Brooke, because that'll be coming up really soon.
Let's talk about that. You keep referring to the younger age group and body weight. So one of the questions that as coaches in a lot of sports, even basketball, we get asked is, when is it safe to do use weights and free weights and things like that.
Yep.
I've heard that it's safe to do as long as you don't overdo it from some strength and conditioning coaches. But I've always been a huge fan of just body weight resistance at a young age. So you want to explain what body weight resistance training is and why it's preferable at a young age.
Yeah, so this is a huge topic working with youth. It's a question parents always ask. I run a few programs in the gym where I basically just take the kids through your deadlifts, your bench press, and they do all this at a really young age. They do it with broomsticks, so they can learn the lift safely. Essentially, what it comes down to is there's not enough studies that suggest that training with weights is safe or unsafe. It's quite all over the shop. There's no correlation between it, and what it really comes down to is the individual. So that's why I prefer to train young kids under 16 with body weight. And maybe that 14, 15-year-old, they start lifting light free weights just to get used to the movements. But again, you've got kids who, in America, smashing, a bench press to a certain extent, again, like you said, without overdoing it, and still growing up to be 6'9" and slam dunking. And again, it's in the genetics. You might get put the same program on a different kid, and they might not grow as tall, and it might affect them in other ways. So as long as they're eating right, body weight is probably the best option. It's just a safer option. Not that if someone's doing resistance training, it's not necessarily frowned upon. It's just you've got to be careful. And that's why I put all my young kids through bodyweight programs, because I know in the end I can go to sleep knowing that I've done at least the safest option when it comes to these training programs.
It's ultimately the benefit that goes into it. So Helena's asked, thanks for answering that. And also you've got someone asking, can they bring out the cooking grease? So with a reference to us fighting and me being...
When I come over and visit you,
maybe when you come over to have your wedding with Lillian. So yeah, I'm sure that'll all happen. Not, but so yeah, some really important stuff there around training, and we're going to need to be thinking like this at the moment, given the situation with COVID-19. I'm not calling it the COVID-19 crisis. I'm calling it the basketball crisis right now, because my life
is just... There's no basketball. There's no games to play.
Oh man, it's like Jesus, and that's a prayer saying that. It's like Jesus, like please, bring something. But yeah, so I've got guys connecting with me, but actually we'll talk about that a little bit. So today I haven't had a chance to hit up all my athletes, but the importance, I think, in team sport, you've got Spartans, which is one of your basketball clubs. One of the importance things I see is trying to keep your kids connected, and particularly in youth. I've got guys up to age 25, which is the youth category, and trying to connect with them and see how they're going now. A good number of them being the age that they are, they've lost their work now, and I ask them, how are you going, and let them know that I'm here if they need to chat and things like that. Are you seeing that the support network that you have in Spartans is there for this situation right now? Is that something that you're seeing?
Yeah, for sure. Even down to a good buddy of mine is actually on at the moment. He's from the UK. He's he's about my age. He's I guess around the age you're saying, towards the latter end. And he came over to that family dinner I was telling you about, with all the Spartans mob. And the dad of the house told him, because he's going through a bit of a rough time with visas and stuff. He's from the UK, like I said. And the father of the household told him, don't be stupid. There's always a bed here. There's always food here.
Yeah.
And that just hasn't changed. And as much as maybe it hasn't been spoken about, because the kids so far have kept their work, that hasn't quite dropped off yet. A lot working for places like Woolworths, places still just running. They know it, and we'll say it again, that there's always rooms and food and plenty to go around. So it's definitely still there, and that's something that the parents stressed to me on Saturday night is not to worry, because they'll always be there for the kids, and so will I, and so will the rest of the older crew.
Yeah.
And I guess, like I said, in times like this, that's what you need. That's definitely the support you need around you.
Because a lot of the anxiety and stress is built around the unknown. So I think just giving people the message that there is support if they need it. Shout out to Zach Williams-Hook, one of my third or fourth assistants, because he didn't get to play the 2016 season. He's just popped
dramatic,
into Ozswish. Yeah, it was pretty disappointing, because he actually got MVP of the SBL last year. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, I did. I congratulated him. What a weapon!
That's he's a weapon, all right. Actually, I shouldn't say that, because I'll never live it down. I've known Zach since he was 11. He was in Darwin when I was operations manager of the Darwin Basketball Association. Stayed connected with him, brought him down here. Well, when I say brought him down, encouraged him to come down. He stayed. Another one put him up for a month in my house, helping him find his work with. I don't know if you ever met Luke Stewart, but Luke Stewart's dad, Tony's quite a good friend. And Coach Luke as well did a lot of... He's actually on my YouTube channel. He's probably done half of the videos on my YouTube channel. I used to work him out. Right. Used to work Luke out 2 hours a day. Sorry, not 2 hours a day. A couple of times a week, but normally at least once a week for 2 hours. When he was playing QBL, I used to do his individuals, and he also went on to become an MVP of the SBL. So I didn't do much with Zach. Zach followed me to Suns from Wizards, but I, as a junior, I coached him stints in Ansett, one of the clubs that we had up there. And then I stayed connected with his mum and him as a friend, and travelled to Townsville and stayed with him a couple of times. And then when he was no longer a development player in the NBL for the Townsville Crocs, I think they wound up actually. So I asked him if he wanted to come down and play down here. He was going to look to play QBL and SBL, but decided just to play SBL, because there was guys like Nick Kay, Mitch McCarron, CJ Massingale, and 2 imports were in the lineup of that QBL team at the time. And he looked at me and he said, "Where am I going to get my minutes?" And I said, "Mate, yeah, I don't know. And he said, look, I'll just play SBL. So that was his decision, and he could have played both, but he chose to play that season, in the SBL for Wizards. But he's a good guy, and he works hard, and he's athletic. He's deceptively athletic, and he actually won $1,000 a couple of years ago. You can go up and have a look on YouTube. It's still there. That's right. He jumped over the Townsville Croc mascot was his final dunk. So that's one of his.
Oh, he showed me a few times. Don't worry, I've seen it a few times from him.
Yeah. Did you? Were you one of the guys that come to my house that night when I was the season after, and I drove you out to Moncomo? Was that? Oh, you weren't there. No, sorry.
No, it would have been Perth by then.
That was yeah. So that was an interesting evening, I can tell you. So I think it was Luke Piddle and him and one other, but I can't remember who the third was. I thought it was you then, but so they're an interesting bunch of group of guys. But he's doing really well. I probably rattled on more about him than I should have. But I saw his name appear in the thing. So and he was one of your teammates at Suns. So I thought it was that. Let's see YouTube if I'm not neglecting anyone. So Helena's asked her question. If anyone else has got any questions, by all means throw them out there. Coby's in Western Australia. We've talked about the Perth Wildcats. We've talked about PT. We've talked about COVID. We've talked about culture in the
monarchy.
Oh, the monarchy. Yeah. We've discussed that. So just this whole streaming with friends is going to be a regular thing. It'll be once a week. Thursday night is the plan, where I just invite one of my friends on. Coby's the very first person. And it's been good connecting with you, actually, even today prior to this, just going through what I needed at your end. You went a bit over the top with your Jungle Academy backdrop and your way and your Jetts, but that's all good, mate. I have no problems with the props, mate. It's good. That way, can you grab it? How big is that? Is it 50 kilos?
Well, these aren't props. These are actually just to cover my kitchen. That's why I put it there. I thought I'd
really?
cover the kitchen. This is courtesy of Elite Subs, which is where Jared's working right now. They always hook me up with some great things. So this is only almost 3 kilos worth.
It's quite light, isn't it? Normally, the material itself. I never know because I did hit the gym when I was really young, but I let myself go, mate. In fact, I'm happy we didn't go with what you were planning today, which was when I first spoke to you, had your shirt off. I said, no, mate, not one. We're not doing that.
I've got my shirt on, but my pants are off. All right?
Yeah, well, yeah, no, too much information. I'm sorry, but who else we got here? So, Greg Brown's online. So thanks, Craig. We probably shouldn't have put our question on the Facebook. I should have put it on the Facebook Live instead of the YouTube. No, that's fine. We're just in case people don't know, we're across all platforms. So what I'm trying to do is go from tab to tab and make sure that I'm getting and seeing the questions. So from time to time, we're just jumping into those tabs and seeing if anyone's got any questions. Coby's a PT, personal trainer. In case you don't know what a PT is, you don't know, someone might not. And he also played basketball for me, so he's a former teammate and player on my team. One thing about Coby is there's a number of different types of behavioural types that I learned after I was at Suns. They use what they call the sporting disc model, which was an athlete's assessment thing, which I hope to speak to them soon. But they have what they call dominants, influentials, conscientious and steadies, and you're what we call an influential. So you're like the Paddy Mills that's waving the towel, and even when you're down by 50, Coby stands there and he says, "It's all right, guys, we'll be all right." so
you make me sound like the nerd of the team.
no. Interestingly, every team needs a guy that is the motivator, and you were that guy for the team, and that I believe is, and as far as culture goes, having what we call an influential, which is actually the category you might not be aware of, but that's what you fall into as your behaviour. I know this now, but I didn't know it at the time. We had about 6 to 7 dominants on the team. Most teams need one. Yep. So what your dominants are, not to insult the guys, but they're the guys that feel like they've got to be the guy. That when the going gets tough, they're the guy. So therefore, they don't want to work with anyone when the going gets tough because they start to, and you would have seen this in the team dynamic. So they say every team needs one influential. Every team needs one leader or motivator that when the people can lead, but he also has to be humble and show humility in that he knows that, and then I have a saying that, it's not my saying, I stole it, but great leaders don't want people to believe in them. They want the people they lead to believe in themselves. And
that's perfect.
And that's the bit that some of these guys miss when they're trying to be leaders. And they have the traits of a leader. They forget that it's not about having followers. It's actually, because followers will follow anyone, even blindly. It's about whether they can take those people on a journey that benefits everyone, benefits the group. And the problem is when you get one or two or three trying to be that guy, they sometimes don't find it easy to work with each other. So what happened in our program is we didn't have what's called a pecking order, which comes from chickens. I don't know if you know how chickens operate, but chickens do create a pecking order, and they'll peck at each other until they work out who the boss is, and it goes all the way down, and that's the same in teams. So, and the rest of your makeup of a team should be conscientious and steadies, and your conscientious are the ones that are in paralysis by analysis, or can be. When the going gets tough, they tend to want to analyse anything before making a decision. The steadies don't tend to want to rock the boat. They don't want to have conflict. They'll go with the flow as long as the group all agrees. So that's the makeup of a good team, tends to be that balance. Unfortunately, we had about 6 or 7 dominants, and that's what makes it hard to function. So learning that now, I do things differently, that's for sure, in my selection. But they're all, on paper, it was a very good team.
For sure.
On paper, they were all skilled athletes. But that was on me and I in a learning curve. And that's the thing, is you can falter your way through a season and learn a lot. So I learned a lot from that experience. So I don't look back on 100%. It. But so just before we do finish up, we've been just over an hour. And I've got Greg commenting on he likes that statement I made about leaders don't want people to believe in them. They want the people that they lead to believe in themselves. It's a very big and very important aspect. One of the things I incorporate into the AusSwish program is actually leadership. I'm giving guys all the time opportunity to be leaders, even if they don't choose to be. I'm trying to build those attributes that they can then go out into the real world when they're older. I'm sure from what you said that you have a good number of leaders in the Spartans Club, mate. So
yeah, 100%.
Anyone else in there that's saying hello? Or you got anything
there's
else?
One that I keep skipping, and I don't mean to skip, but a few people have questioned why we haven't gone to it yet. And this is a really good one for you to answer, Craig, and I'll give mine after. What are some things you think young hoopers are doing wrong? What is the difference between a local hooper compared to someone at the QB or SBO level in which, I played and you coach? So I guess there's 2 questions there. What are the young hoopers doing wrong? And what's the difference between a local hooper and a QB or SBO athlete?
All right. First thing I'd say that hoopers are doing wrong is they're all shooting and they're not doing anything else. So shooting's a big part of the game, but there's so many aspects that get neglected. So one of the things I say to my athletes at a young age is, I say it's what you do over and above what everyone else does that actually makes you the better player. So what that means for me is if I'm out there shooting and the person next to me is shooting and working on defense, then the chances are the person who's shooting and working on defense is more likely to become the better player. If then there's someone next to him who's working on ball handling, shooting, defense, I think you see where I'm going with it, then they're more likely to be the better player at the end of the day. So that's the first thing. So I would say make sure that you're actually working on all the aspects of the game, not just shooting. And shooting game-like shots. The biggest mistake they make is they get reps up. So one of the things in the AusSwish program that we preach and teach is that there are 3 phases to every skill execution, which is read, plan, and execute. So you read the situation, you plan what you're going to do, then you execute. What most kids are just practicing is the execution. So they'll stand in one spot and they'll just take shots from that one spot. But what they haven't done is they haven't trained the conditions that would have them arrive in that particular spot. So they haven't done, the pull-up jump shot. They haven't navigated something to get past it. They haven't done, so we say set up, blow by, finish. So that's the approach when we're going on a drive. So that's that read, plan, execute. So that learning and doing all aspects of the game situation would be a second one. And there's probably heaps I could go through. There's those 2. What else would I say? Is a lot of guys are just turning up to train these days and they'll go and sit on their Xbox for an hour or 2, but they don't practice in their own time and then they expect to be good in game. So one of the things I'd say there is to make sure that you get out and practice. So one of the sayings I tell, again, young kids is and I stole it off the top of a DVD. It says, good players are made in the gym, great players are made in the driveway. So they're those things that I'd say. I think I've lost you there, Cobes. Yep. All right. So, oh, he's back. I lost you for a second there, mate.
Okay. Yeah. Over there.
You good?
All good? Yep. I'm here.
Just lagging a little bit. Did you hear my response?
I missed a chunk of it. I could hear bits of it.
That's
okay.
okay.
Jumping in and out.
No worries.
As long as everyone else heard it.
Yeah, so I'd say they did because my live stream camera didn't stutter. It was just at your end. But yeah, so I hope they heard that. But yeah, so I just gave 3 things that I would focus on. Was there 2 parts to that question? There was the first one is what are they doing wrong? What was the other part to the question?
It was difference between like a local hooper and your QBO, SBO athletes.
I think process that it takes time to build an athlete, and a lot of kids and young people want it now. And they don't realise that those guys that when they arrive, and I know, and you know this because you were riding my bench for a long time trying to earn minutes,
for sure.
Is that when you get to the higher level, everything's earned, not given. And guys can go from being in a club team where they're getting good minutes and it's just club, and then they start to move. Every time you go up a level, you go from being the guy to being the guy on the bench. And some of them are questioning, why am I not getting to play? And what they don't recognise is that most athletes, particularly pretty much everyone on a QBL bench, if you ever ask even the starters, they've all ridden the bench at the end of the bench. They've just worked hard to the point where they're now the guy on the top 5, whatever. I also tell players, and this is huge for me, is I tell them, don't judge yourself on whether you start a game. Judge yourself, and you'll know your spot and your place in a team if you're finishing the game in a tight game. So if I don't start you, I might be starting you for a reason based on matchups or whatever like that. What you want to know is that, am I on the floor in the dying seconds of a game when the game's on the line? That's my real measure. So that for me is more important than whether you start, because a lot of parents and a lot of kids I see, they're about starting. And
so fixated on that, yeah.
It's the wrong approach. It's your real measure and your real worth to know what you're worth to your team is whether you're on that floor in the dying seconds of a close game. That's the measure. If you're not there, then that tells you you're not important to your team in that regard. So that's how I look at it, because I want the best players, the best listener. It might not even be the best player. It might be the most coachable player who I know gets the plays and is going to play his role in the dying seconds of a game. So that's your value. That's your importance to your team, not whether you start. I can start any number of players because it's a long game. So, you know, it doesn't mean...
I finished every game for you, Craig. I mean, there were blowouts, but I finished every game for you.
Well, but this is what's interesting though, Coby, and this is actually important, because you might have only got on the last 1 to 2 minutes of a game, but everyone was calling your name. So here's the value you had, is we finished every loss on a high as a group of people, because I gave everyone what they wanted, and that was Coby. So my point being is, walking away, you got all these people chanting for you. We're all losing. We came 8th in the season out of 13, 14 teams. We didn't do as bad as we think. We just didn't make finals. But you when you think about it, what you did in those games, and we won a few games as well, but you think about the games that you got on in the last couple of minutes. A lot of those games were games that built an atmosphere that wasn't, that in most situations with most teams, people are walking out the door to the car. You know what I mean? You're down by 20, 30 points. It's done. They're going home. But with you, no, it was Coby.
Yeah. And I guess that's advice you give to any athlete, hey, is just appreciate the moment. Like, I think that's what got me through that season, is I was always fighting for minutes, but I was never leaving angry at you or angry at myself for not getting minutes. It was always when I was, like you said, on the bench waving towels, like I was enjoying every second of it. I was appreciating the process. A lot of kids, young athletes nowadays don't appreciate the process. They just want to be there. They want to be the starter, want to be the 30-point guy, but they're not appreciating the steps it takes to get there, and absorbing, enjoying it. And in actual fact, they end up not making it that far because that process isn't enjoyable. Like, I can tell you that unless you put the effort in to enjoy it, it's not a fun process,
But there's also the concept of embracing the suck, that you've got to do things you don't like, and you don't,
for sure.
that you don't enjoy. You just had a ghost walk past you into the kitchen there. Is that Lillian?
There's no one else here.
Oh, yeah,
Nah,
sure.
Lil's come out of her study.
Yeah, nice. So say hello to us, for everyone that just
Craig
saw her.
says hi from everyone to you.
Yeah.
She said hey.
Yeah, that's all good. So man, this has been really good, but I think we might give it a wrap up. There's 12 people. To everyone who's still on, who's still watching, who's come in and out of out of this. This will stay up online. So, you know, other people get to see it, even if they didn't get to see it live. It'll be across all my socials. So make sure you share one of the, from the, say, People with a Passion page is probably the best one. Just quickly before we go, I did ask you about your socials before, so I'll let you finish on that. But I do want to remind people, please subscribe to People with a Passion YouTube channel. Go there now. If you're watching on the Facebook page, People with a Passion Facebook page, I'm going to be doing this weekly with different people. So please make sure you go give the People with a Passion Facebook page a thumbs up, give it a like or a follow, so that you can, you know, at least know if I'm going to be doing any more of these. We will do another one of these down the track, Coby, at least in the next 6 months, to see how everything's tracking and see how you're going with your video stuff and how people have received it. So thanks for your time, man. But throw out those socials for us, will you?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it so much, Craig. So at the Jungle Academy, you can see it in the background, spelt the exact same on Facebook and Instagram. As you know, I'm on there a lot. I'm always posting content, so make sure you do hit me with a DM, a little message with questions, queries, anything you may need. Give it a follow, and I'll post that online content tomorrow. So thanks again for the opportunity, Craig. I appreciate it. It's always good just to catch up with you, whether it's live with other people or just in our own time. So thank you again.
All right. Catch you later, man. All good.
There you go. See you, Coach. Bye.
Everyone.